They call it the Acer Swift X. Now, this is the 14-inch model, and in this video, let's unbox it. Now, I'm really excited about this model because last year's model was something special. It was one of the first laptops I'd ever gotten a chance to review with a, low TDP processor, so like an ultrabook processor, something like, the Ryzen. Last year it was the Ryzen 7 5800U, right? That's what came in this laptop. Something else, for example, from last year would be like the i7 1165G7, or now the i7 1260P. Okay, last year I thought it was a good laptop, thought it was a great concept. However, the performance didn't really impress me, and I think the reason is they went with Ryzen. And Ryzen, fanboy, fangirls, whatever you want to say, I really was not overly impressed with the performance of that CPU. And so matched with the dedicated GPU, it just didn't show off at how I thought it would. So this year, I lost my glasses there, I'm thinking we have good things in store for us. I've already run some of the tests on this new processor, the i7 1260P, and it's already killing it for 4K video editing before we even add a dedicated RTX 3050 Ti. And so I'm thinking this laptop could be a great buy for the year. All right, enough with like the thoughts. Let's just get into the actual laptop here. I must say I'm never overly impressed with Acer's packaging. I wish they'd put a little bit more pizzazz into their packaging. Now, I do like it, it's kind of eco-friendly. They're using what looks like some recycled material, so I do like that. But man, Asus, they just do like that pizzazz packaging, man. It just gets you excited. Ooh, I like that blue. That's really nice. Almost like an indigo blue. Pretty nice thin package. This is the 14-inch model, so it's going to have a 16:10 aspect ratio. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it should be. Let's go ahead and pull this guy out here. So far in the box, we just simply have the charger block, cord, and the laptop. So there you go. Put the weight and thickness up there on the screen for you. A little tap test while we're at it. Assembled very well, all aluminum laptop. No fingerprints, so good material for a person like me who has usually kind of oily fingers. So no fingerprints there. Looks like we got some good selection of ports here. On the right side panel, we have our Kensington lock, USB Type-A, we have our headphone jack, and on the left side panel, we have two USB Type-Cs, HDMI, and a USB Type-A. Now, these will be Thunderbolt this year. Last year, they were not because of Ryzen. Again, another reason I think it's a good choice to choose Intel right now, especially on the mobile front, with Intel pushing these new chips and Ryzen still not having anything new to offer for us except for just a bump in the generation. So I think Intel is going to be a great choice for the mobile market right now. Now let's go ahead and check out the build quality, see how the bottom cover is assembled into this laptop. It looks like it sits a little deeper than I would personally prefer. So there's a little bit of an edge there, but it's nothing tragic or catchy. It just has a bit of a catch, but it's not sharp. But it does sit a little bit deeper than my preference. If you can see right here, a little deep on that spot. Overall, looking good. In a little bit, we'll go ahead and pull the bottom cover off, check out the upgrade path and see what that looks like. Nice little detail in the back here. Can you see that? A little Swift. And then we have a vent here and on the bottom, and then of course our speaker grills right here on the bottom cover. Let's go ahead and get this laptop open, see if we can open it with one hand. Little stiff hinge there. It's definitely going to be a two-handed open. But I don't mind too much of a stiff hinge because, you get really good stickiness. You don't have that awful screen wobble. There's like a little tiny bounce when you set it and then it stops. So when you're typing on your keyboard, it's not going to be like, just like that. Make that sound. Okay. Let's check out the screen flex. Nice. Good, solid, rigid aluminum material for the top cover. You can see we have that ergo lift. So the ergo lift, basically what that allows us to do is get the keyboard off of the deck a little bit, and then you can get some air flowing up underneath the chassis hopefully cool the laptop better. And I know that I'm pretty sure this laptop will cool well. I've already seen these 1260p's cool very well, run good performance. So looking forward to that. Now, another thing I want to point out is this keyboard looks very nice. It has a plastic keycap that feels like more of a hardened plastic material. They have more of a traditional sound to the click, so it's not that kind of muffled sound. It's a bit more of that standard kind of clicky sound. Medium key travel, and then of course it says we have a fingerprint reader on the power button. So go ahead and click the power button, fingerprint reader's there, so you don't have to type in your password. Now, one thing I will point out is I wish that this trackpad was a little bit bigger. Now, I don't know much about the interior of the laptop yet as far as, taking off the bottom cover, but I wish they just shifted this keyboard up ever so slightly and gave us a slightly larger trackpad. That's just a little small, especially when I think about something like the Asus Zephyrus G14, which is about the same size package. This one might be a little bit smaller. They had that larger trackpad, which to me is a big advantage for creative professionals. So that would be my critique. Now, I will say that there's a nice small bezel on this screen. So there's not a big fat bezel here along the bottom. I know some of you might say, well, is there going to push heat up towards the screen? With this cooler processor, I don't think that's going to be an issue, but we'll go ahead and run the tests here, do the full review, and see how that works out. Now, looking at the top of the bezel, you can see we have a webcam, and here's a quick sample of the webcam for you. You can see what that looks like. This is the webcam on the Acer Swift X14, and a little sample of the audio for you as well. This display is more than full HD. It's actually a 2.2K screen, so it's going to be a little sharper, a little more crisp, and I'm pretty sure it's got a good sRGB, but again, I won't know that fully until I run all my tests on it. This is equipped with fast charging, so you can go ahead and get it plugged in for about 15 minutes and usually have about 2 to 4 hours, depending on how this is configured. This is not an Intel Evo system, so it doesn't have all of those, OEM to Intel relationships that certify it for certain things, but it does have quick charge connected. At least I don't see the Intel Evo sticker. So if I'm incorrect, then somebody correct me, but it does not have the sticker on the deck. Now, one thing I will say about the Swift series that I was not fond of in the past model was the fact that I didn't have a lot of fan control. So as you can see on the top of the keyboard deck, there's no shortcuts to change my fan control. So whatever the computer decides to do for me, that's what I'm going to have to live with. And so that's one area I wish that in the future Acer would give us some access to, is just like maybe a quiet, balanced, and performance mode. And then even if I'm sure in order to get better battery life, again, we'll see, I wish it had some sort of iGPU switch. So where we could switch off the dedicated GPU, run primarily on the iGPU, which would then encourage better battery life. But we'll see how well the system, optimizes itself during the full review. All right, before I go on and keep talking about all these predictions, let's flip this thing over, get the bottom cover off, and see what kind of upgrade path we have for this laptop. All right, so we got the bottom cover pulled off, and as you can see, we have our 58.75 watt-hour battery. Hopefully that'll give us some good charge, and again, with that i7 1260p, hopefully we can get some good battery life out of this laptop, even with the dedicated GPU. Now, also, as you can see here on the right side, we have two M.2 slots, one occupied, one available. That is fantastic. And then we have our Wi-Fi card, which is also swappable as well. And then of course you have the heat pipe running right along top here to the i7 1260p. So I'm excited about that. Our speakers are here, all of our ports and connectivity there. Looks like a well put in laptop. However, there is no swappable RAM. So what you purchase this laptop with is what it will come with and what it will stay with. I personally recommend 16 gigs, especially if you're a creative professional. That will be the bottom of the recommendation for me. I just think it's to go less than 16 in this day and age. Programs are using more RAM. Video files are getting larger. Photos are getting larger. So I think 16 gigs, it used to be 8 for me, but now 16 gigs is kind of my bottom of the barrel recommendation where you should start. All right, if you're curious about the exact pricing and availability, links in the description below so you can check that out. If you do make a purchase, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. Likes if this video has brought you some value, and subs if you don't want to miss out on the future uploads. I'll see you guys here in the next video.